I wanted to make a video talking about 3 big mistakes that people make when they're starting out with filmmaking or basically any creative endeavour. The first one is that people go onto YouTube and they see all these really high quality videos, or they go onto Instagram and they see these near perfect photos and they just think there's no point me even starting, I don't have the right things to be able to do that, or I don't have creative enough ideas to get going. Ideas are all around you, and in fact sometimes the obstacles that we think might be something that's stopping us from getting going are actually an idea in themselves. For example, if you'd planned to go out on a sunny day to make a video and then the weather turns out terrible, you could use that as an excuse to stay behind, or you could take that as an opportunity to make a video about being out in bad weather and how that's affected your day. There's a story in that too. When it comes to gear, people think that you need to buy the most expensive camera, or at least something that's better than your phone to get going. And in all fairness, most people on YouTube and most photographers have bought some level of camera, but it really isn't necessary these days to buy something like that to get started. And I do think that that misconception is such a massive hurdle to people getting the practice in that they need before they even qualify for getting the next upgrade. In my mind, there's not really much point in buying something that is expensive and has a lot of advanced features if you haven't yet mastered the basics of something simple. So that'd be the second mistake people make, thinking that they need to get expensive gear when really the barrier for entry these days is pretty low. The third mistake that beginner filmmakers and beginner creatives make is discipline. I think a lot of the time we go from having something as a hobby and we just do it now and then when we feel like it, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you want to make this into something that's something more than a hobby, discipline's required. It's no good only taking on projects when you think you're going to have time, or when you think the circumstances are going to be perfect, because that's going to be very, very rare, or it may not happen at all. So those moments when you're getting back from work and you're thinking now's the time to sit down, watch a bit of TV, that could be a time that you spend half an hour or an hour just doing something creative, whether it's practicing, making a tiny dent in a project that you've had in mind, or maybe even just doing some research so that when it comes around to doing your project, you're that more better prepared. But if I could sum all of these tips up into one sentence: stop viewing obstacles as obstacles and start viewing them as opportunities. You've only got a phone? Great. How can you make a great video using just your phone? You haven't got any massive ideas that you can implement? Great. How can you make a really good video out of the simplest idea? You've only got an hour a week spare? Great. How do you make an interesting video and tell a compelling story in just 1 hour? These are all great ideas, but most of the time people view them as an obstacle and it stops them getting going. So if you're a beginner, stop looking for obstacles and look for opportunities. They're all there. They just sometimes look the same.
The other thing I think that holds people back is confidence. Like this, just getting your camera out. It's that confidence of walking through a potentially public area, pointing a camera at yourself, talking to a camera. If you're just walking through somewhere on your own, completely vlogging to camera, you look like a bit of a nutter. That's the reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you've got to build up that confidence to just create, just do it, just get it out. You know, if this is something that you want, I think if you are a photographer or a videographer, if you've taken that first step to go, this is what I want to do, you're already a creative. It's just having the confidence to get the camera out and do it.
Yeah. On that note of confidence, something that I found back when I was more into doing music and playing guitar is that I never wanted to go up and sing or play guitar in front of people initially. But what got me to do it in the end was loving actually playing the music more than I was afraid of what other people thought. Because I enjoyed doing the music so much, it made it easier to go up there and start playing in front of people, because that was what I focused on, the fact that I really liked doing that and not so much what the people thought. And after a while, like, the awkwardness kind of went away.
And I think some of it is in your own head. Like if you're walking around with a camera and you're going, like, I feel really awkward. The reality is nobody's actually looking at you.
No.
Nobody actually cares what you're doing.
Everyone's just worried about what they look like. They're not even paying attention most of the time to what you're doing. So you might as well just get on with it.
Yeah.
Final thoughts? I am aware that I'm saying all this about gear doesn't matter, and I'm using a pretty decent camera. So the next video that I'm going to be uploading is going to be a video that I make purely just using my phone, a little tripod grip, and a very cheap GoPro that's about 6 years old. And the only reason for the GoPro is because some of it's going to be some underwater snorkeling shots, because I'm going to Mexico. So there might be a little gap between this and the next upload, but the next one is going to be demonstrating that you really don't need a lot of expensive stuff to make a decent video. So when that's done, I'll link it here. And until then, enjoy the other videos that are up already.